away from our diamond, stay away from our oil, Africa is hardly going to see peace. I wish to second this motion, and I thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Peoples in Africa waged wars of resistance against violent dispossession of their land and their natural resources. The African monarchs who led these wars were defeated, and their people were enslaved and colonized. For more than a century, African people waged wars of national liberation for the achievement of political, social, and economic self-determination. I do not have to recall the protracted struggle led by Frelimo in Mozambique. African people, with the exception of the Sahrawi Republic, have achieved their right of political self-determination. The AU theme for 2022 calls on member states to build resilience in nutrition and accelerate human, social, and economic development. The achievement of these strategic objectives requires peace and security. I second the motion of solidarity and support to the government and people of the Republic of Mozambique, which is not selfish. This motion is not selfish. It condemns not only the cowardly acts committed by the terrorists against the people of Mozambique, particularly women, children, and the elderly, but it also condemns imperialist and neo-imperialist forces who finance, arm, and instigate terrorism and violent extremism in Mozambique and in other parts of Africa. It is not enough, therefore, Honorable President, to express the most sincere condolences to the government and people of Mozambique and other countries in Africa who are victims to these terrorist attacks. It is also not enough to commend the African Union for its support for other parts of for Mozambique and other parts of Africa. Lastly, Honorable President, I want to call on African governments and people to reawaken to the fact that the conflicts, unconstitutional changes, and terrorist attacks in Africa are part of the struggle of the imperialist and neo-imperialist forces for the control of African natural resources, which are the prerequisites for the social and economic development of Africa, which the people of Mozambique are not able to achieve because of these barbaric acts. In conclusion, Honorable President, I submit that Africa cannot and will not achieve peace and security until we end foreign ownership of our land and natural resources by foreigners. Africans must regain ownership of their land and natural resources and develop the capacity to beneficiate them and market the product for the benefit of Africans, not foreigners. Last but not least, the AU must condemn the European imperialist and neo-imperialist forces for their instigation and support of unconstitutional changes and terrorism in Africa, which impede the human, social, and economic development of the continent. I submit that maybe this matter should be escalated to the UN so that the UN adopts a new resolution on African control of her land and natural resources, so that these conflicts and competition for our land and natural resources should stop. I submit, Honorable President and distinguished members.